Welcome to Worthy of Work, the podcast dedicated to helping anyone who's done having lousy, lonely, disappointing relationships and who's ready to do the work to build better connections. I'm Stephanie Rivard, and if you've ever questioned your sanity, wondered if healthy relationships are even real, or wonder if there's anything you can do to attract or create a healthier relationship, you are exactly where you need to be. Together, we will unpack the healthy relationship skills no one taught us. Hi, in today's episode, we're going to dive into an emotion that many of us would prefer to avoid and ignore: resentment. What we're going to learn is that resentment is actually a really healthy and helpful tool to help us grow and learn and protect the relationships we love. Let's dive in. I think there's a common belief that if we do more, forgive more, absorb more, that we're being loving, right? Well, it depends. It depends on what that costs to us. And if it's costing us hidden resentments, then what we're actually doing is not an act of love to continue to do those tasks or activities that we're secretly resenting. That's no longer an act of love or an act of virtue. It's actually an act of recklessness, where we are endangering the relationships that we claim to cherish. Now, how does this work? Well, resentment obviously is that feeling of bitterness, annoyance, anger. In situations where we're maybe overextended, we feel unacknowledged, taken for granted. Situations where I said yes, but I should have said no. Well, this doesn't seem to just kind of disappear. And frankly, if you've figured that out, please let me know how you've been able to evaporate your resentments. Instead, what I have noticed that a resentment is it's like when we sweep it under the rug or bury it. Well, what happens when we bury something? When we bury a seed, the plant grows. The plant grows. It finds a way out, and it seeps into our relationships in a number of unhealthy and unhelpful ways. Simmering anger, keeping score, sarcasm, that emotional withdrawal and avoidance. Now, this is usually evident in my tone, in my decision making. A resentment even has a way of seeping into sex life. Married relationships, this is something we need to pay attention to. The cost of resentment is a harm to the relationship unless we tend to it, unless we know that resentment is a wonderful, helpful tool that signals not a failure, not that I'm being unloving or selfish, just it signals that we need an adjustment, that something needs to be tweaked. And that's just part of life. So what do we do here? We've noticed a resentment come in. And now what? Right? Now what? Let's try 4 things. First is to pause and to, I think, honestly acknowledge, hey, this is a resentment. If you can share that with a trusted friend who knows how to hold confidence, that is even better. But first, we just need to pause and acknowledge it. Second is to explore it. Ask, where is this coming from? Maybe it's coming from an expectation I have that I've never said out loud. I'm totally guilty of that. An unspoken expectation will find a way out and, well, probably come out in the form of resentment. From there, let's own. Step 3 would be to own our part. Own the part that says, yep, you know what? I have never said this. I've never asked for this. Or I have asked for it. I've asked for a change, but I have kept participating in the old system that I claimed not to want anymore. So I'm going to own my piece. From there, we need to see the solution and act on that. This could be in the form of a conversation where now I know I need to have an awkward conversation with someone. Maybe I need to set a boundary. Maybe I just need to clarify something that we have a misunderstanding about. But I need to take the action towards the solution. Now, this does not mean we charge into a relationship, say, tackle our spouse when they walk in the door and say, hey, shape up or ship out. And this has got to change. Now, that might be quite tempting, especially if we've let this resentment build for a long time. We're going to be a bit loaded, aren't we? This is going to be like a pressure cooker in ourselves. So we are responsible to how I deliver this message, what I say, the tone, the how, and when I say this. Now, isn't that interesting? When? Now, my husband will be watching the Oilers playoff game tonight. This is not the time when he's sitting in front of the TV in the middle of the third period to say, hey, honey, we need to discuss the cooking arrangement. This is not helpful. Now, because I would care about these topics, I should also care about when, how, and what I say to approach these conversations. I have a tool about the difference between emotions and thoughts. Review that. Try it out. This is helping us form sentences and have emotional awareness and increase vulnerability in these conversations. This is a good tool. Try it out here. Let's take an example. Let's say a wife and mother is growing resentful about being kind of the go-to parent and the live-in cook. I'm sure no one can relate to this, so just entertain me here, and we're going to explore this very hypothetical situation. Okay, so she has noticed, hey, I'm resentful. What am I going to do? She's acknowledged it. She's paused. She's going to explore, hey, you know what? Maybe I need to have a conversation. I need to renegotiate the way we cook. Or maybe I need to set a boundary. What would some of these things sound like? It might sound like, hey, hon, I've noticed I'm a bit resentful about cooking all the time. Can we chat about this and figure out another way? It might be saying maybe she loves to cook. And what she needs instead is to ask her husband to take the kids to the park for 45 minutes so she can cook in peace. Or maybe it's a boundary. Maybe she has assessed herself and her capacity and says, you know what, I can cook 4 days a week. On the fourth night, I will cook enough so there's leftovers for day 5. And the other days, our whole household will explore a solution to that. These are possibilities. And best case scenario, she can approach this conversation with, again, owning how she says it, her tone, what she says it, the words out of her mouth, so that tool about emotions and thoughts. So she's using I statements that are accurate. And then when? Pick a decent time, right? We can increase the odds that we can have a successful conversation by being a bit tactful in that area. But resentments, again, are not problems. They're not failures. They are part of life, and they're great instructors for us. They teach us, and they can help us grow and protect the relationships that we love instead of letting the resentment marinate, grow, and seep out in other areas of our relationship. That is unkind. And we no longer need to patch the problem with silence. So my question to you today is, are you feeling resentful? What situation, what conversation needs to be tended to? And can you notice, do you see any solutions that would help you move out of resentment? And I would encourage you to remind yourself, this is okay that I feel this way. There's a solution. And in fact, I can learn, grow, and tend well to my relationships by noticing and respecting resentment. I hope this episode has been helpful. And if it has, I'm going to ask a favor. Would you mind sharing this on your socials? I'm trying to get these resources out to the people who need it. And I suspect resentment is something we all struggle with. So if you'd be so kind to post this, share it where you spend some of your online time, I would really appreciate it. Thanks for your help. That's it for today's episode. If this resonates with you, please subscribe, share, or leave a review. It helps more people find this work. And remember, I'm not a therapist. I'm just someone who once thought dysfunction was pretty normal. I wanted better and learned new tools. And so can you.